Welcome on in to the Utah Blockcast. I'm Steve Bartle, Utah insider at KSL Sports. I'm flying solo, at least for a little bit here, at least for the time being. Sorry, Cam. Sorry, Tyson. The streak has come to an abrupt end. Apologies on that front. But I think the listeners are really going to enjoy this. I think this is going to be a lot of fun, not only for this episode, but for the rest of the season. And I'm excited to announce that we've added Utah defensive tackle Keanu Tanuvasa to the Blockcast. Super excited about that. Super excited to have him join us. Now is going to be on a weekly basis. We were just going to do every other week, but Keanu and we recorded earlier today and just had a lot of fun chopping it up, talking Utah football, talking life a little bit. And I'm super excited for you guys to get to know Keanu on a more personal level. Obviously, we're going to talk Utah football. That's going to be the majority of the conversation and just kind of his experiences on a weekly basis. But I'm super excited for you guys to learn more about Keanu, to get to know him. He's such a special kid, and he's got a lot of opinions. He likes to talk, and we love talkers, and so we'll have a lot of fun with Keanu this season. And so, like I said, it's going to be a weekly thing. We're going to record every Wednesday, and we'll publish this episode on Thursdays. So super fired up about that. So probably wondering, well, why isn't Keanu with you right now? Well, like I said, we recorded earlier today. We were on a little bit of a time crunch, and so we had to get in, get out in about 25 minutes. Knocked it out of the park in those 25 minutes, and like I said, we're both pretty excited about this to continue this, and so from here on out, we've now we talked about it after we recorded. We'll just start recording episodes, full episodes together. So on this one, it's more of an interview style, but still, it's a good conversation between me and him. Good back and forth, which we absolutely had some fun and enjoyed. But before we get to that, want to do a quick little rundown of the Utah Baylor game this weekend, just to give you guys a little bit more meat on the bone here with this episode. Um, so obviously Utah Baylor kicking off at 1:30 p.m. Mountain Time. The game is nationally televised on Fox, which is just an awesome opportunity for the program to put on a great performance. Obviously, they've got to go out and earn it and do it and execute and do all of those things. But what a stage to have to do that on with Fox and to do it in a uniform. Those all reds, man, those look good. Announced it earlier today. The all red uniform set looks fantastic. That'll look great on national TV as well. Um, so for me, I don't want to talk too much. I want to get to that Keanu Tanuvasa stuff, but I've got three keys to the game for Utah against Baylor. So let's get to that. First key of the game for me, control the trenches. Got to control the trenches in this one. This goes for the offensive line and defensive line. Let's start with the offense side of the ball. Obviously, first and foremost, pass protection is priority number one on the season. That's never going to change in any game. Pass protection is the top priority for Utah. And against this Baylor squad, this is a defensive front that it's kind of unique. So typically four rushers. They've got three down linemen, three guys with the hand in the dirt, and then a stand-up edge rusher, which is their jackbacker, and that's a hybrid defensive end linebacker role. They'll rotate a guy that's 6'8", 260 pounds, Garmin Randolph, who's more of that defensive end type, and then they'll rotate a linebacker in there, Steve Linton, who's more 6'1", 235. So they do some different things with personnel and different body types, but starting three are all 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", 290 pounds. They're all about 290 pounds. And so, it's a defensive front. They'll mix in even and odd fronts. So they'll look like a typical four-man front would with two defensive tackles lined up across from the guards. They'll also do some odd man fronts with, a nose tackle, a defensive tackle, and an end lined up typically over the offensive tackles. So that'll present some challenges for Utah in terms of identifying what front they're in and ensuring that they're all on the same page with who they've got and that sort of thing. So that's going to be important. But this Baylor front and defensive scheme in general, they're trying to just create havoc in the backfield. They're trying to get off blocks. They're trying to shoot gaps. Garmin Randolph, he's the guy that they're trying to free up in twists and stunts in particular. He had a sack against Tarleton State, so you need to be particularly mindful of him. I think he finished that game with 3 pressures and a sack in that one, so he's shown the ability to get out after the quarterback, at least against Tarleton State. Um, so for Utah with the offensive line, I was encouraged. Obviously, first play of the game last week is a QB hit on Cam, which was less than encouraging. But after that, the offensive line settled in, and on that play, Spencer Fano just gained too much depth. He exploded out of his stance, gave up the inside too easily, and that's the death knell for offensive tackles. You can't give up the inside. That's a quick, easy fix. Probably just a little too much adrenaline. Um, yeah. So I expect that. I expect Spencer to be much better in that regard. And with the offensive line and pass pro, I was really encouraged actually, watching the group, watching the unit execute, and for the most part, they looked assignment sound. They looked to be playing with proper technique. Was really, really encouraged by just the level of execution that we saw from the offensive line unit, particularly with Cam in there. After that first hit, um, they only allowed 1 other pressure in 19 other plays. So, uh, pretty good job. Need that sort of efficiency, pass blocking efficiency, to continue this week against Baylor. Now, in the run game, this is going to be interesting. This is always kind of a unique challenge for offensive lines and run games when you face these more aggressive, defensive fronts that want to get into the backfield, want to shoot gaps, want to, do twists and stunts. The defensive line is almost reacting to the initial, they're not almost, they're reacting to the initial action of the offensive line at the snap. And with these sort of defenses, the offensive line almost has to react to the reaction of the defense. And so that's going to be kind of a unique balance that the offensive line has to find. And the thing here is, you're going to see defensive linemen get into the backfield. They're going to shoot gaps. It's just going to be up to the offensive linemen to ensure to ride them out, wash them out, get them out of the play, and keep moving on to their assignment, their next assignment, and that sort of thing. And I think with Utah, obviously they only averaged 5 yards a carry against Southern Utah. I do expect that to improve this week with Baylor. I think the offensive line did a decent job of generating push. They generated 3.3 offensive line yards, so that's the amount of yardage gained before contact for a running back, and it was fantastic. It was a lot of fun to watch Jalen Glover, Mekhi Bernard operate with space, right? That was just an element that was lost last year. They didn't have space to work with. It was fun to watch Mekhi and Jalen, get to the second level and make cuts and to find the open space. And I think that's going to be something with Baylor and their defensive scheme. They like to play quarters and have 2 safeties back, which is going to give them a lot of space at at the second level. So as long as the offensive line generates the sort of push that they need to at the first level, Jalen, Mekhi, Mike, Dijon getting to the second level, they'll have space to operate there, and that should be a good thing for the run game this week. So offensive line needs to be good in pass pro. Obviously, that's top priority, but I think this will be a good opportunity for the run game to get going against a Power 5 opponent even. So like that. On the other side of the ball, right, we know what's going on at cornerback. Obviously, Utah has to kind of reshuffle the deck here in the defensive secondary a little bit with the loss of Kenan Johnson. Have to figure out who's going to step up. The best way to help a secondary when they're going through that sort of thing, that sort of transition, the defensive front takes control of the game and gets pressure into the backfield. And what we saw with Daquan Finn last week against Tarleton State, he'll make mistakes. He'll make bad decisions. He'll make poor throws. Forcing the issue with that, getting pressure in his face. Morgan Skelly talked about the best way to defend these dual threat quarterbacks is to hit them, to make them feel you. And I think that's going to be, a big priority for this defensive front, for just the defense in general. You want to get pressure on him. You want to keep bodies in space. So obviously you would love to get pressure with 4 and minimize it to that. You can do that by blitzing and dropping others, off the line of scrimmage and doing that sort of thing. So really interested to see what that looks like for Morgan Scalley this week. I think just getting pressure on Daquan Finn will be key. And then also with the run game, I think this is one of the biggest advantages that Utah has in this game is the Utah defensive line versus the Baylor offensive line. This is a fairly young group of offensive linemen that's not super experienced. So that's great for Utah, right? This is a pretty experienced group. This is a good mixture of guys on the defensive front where you've got some athletes, you've got some bigger bodies to control the line of scrimmage, and you can get after the quarterback with guys. So got to control the line of scrimmage, got to minimize the run game, and then get pressure on Daquan Finn. So that's key number 1 for me, control the trenches. The next big key for me, push the pace. Use elevation to your advantage. They're coming to you. They're coming to Rice-Eccles Stadium. Use the elevation to your advantage. And Utah is so good at doing that. And the fun thing here is you can push tempo. You can throw the ball around. You force them to run around and breathe heavily, right? By throwing the ball around, by making them work hard. And that's going to be fun to see. And then, you get into the second half, you just take control. You allow the elevation to sink its teeth into Baylor by, ground and pound if you need to, throw the ball around, but controlling the game and just using that to your advantage. That's going to be a big key in this one, a big factor at least, as it always is. This is breaking news. Water is wet. Use elevation to your advantage type of analysis here from me. The last one, again, with the stage that we've got this weekend, that Utah has this weekend, nationally televised game. It's a Big 12 program. What better situation, what better stage for Utah to break out a shiny new toy in Dorian Singer than this weekend, right? So, throw him the ball. It's that simple. Throw him the ball. Throw it around. Get the wide receivers involved. Make this Baylor defense work, like I said. Get them running around. Get them breathing heavily. And, use Dorian Singer and what he's capable of. And I think, all off season, he proved to be pretty dynamic in practice on a pretty consistent basis. I think everybody is excited to see what that looks like. And I think, what better, like I said, what better stage to do that than this weekend against Baylor on national television. So beyond just the stage and what it would mean for Utah to get Dorian involved, this defensive secondary for Baylor is kind of unique. So five guys returned from last year. Only one of them is entering his third year of big playing time. So all 4 other guys, their first extensive playing time was last season. So this is still a fairly young group across the board. And so just considering the experience that Utah has in their favor on the offensive side of the ball, that bodes well for Cam, for the wide receivers at his disposal, and for this passing game. So I think for Utah, the goal should be, somewhere between 55-60% success rate in the passing game. I think you should be aiming for about 10 chunk plays through the air in this one. Obviously, that's not the expectation. That's not the standard. But I think if you can get somewhere between, 6, 7, 8 with the goal of 10, I think that's fantastic. And I think Utah is truly capable of doing that this weekend against Baylor. So those are my 3 keys. Control the trenches, use the elevation, and let's see Dorian Singer break out on this sort of stage. So big keys for me. That's enough for me now. And excited to intro Keanu Tanuvasa. I think you guys are really, really going to enjoy this, particularly this conversation. It was a lot of fun. And so here we go. Excited about this. We've been talking about it for a little while, trying to get some things finalized. We finally got him in studio. Excited about this. He's going to be joining us every so often. I don't know if we'll do it weekly, but at least every other week maybe.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I'd like to.
Keanu Tanuvasa.
Yes, sir.
In the studio, in the flesh.
Thank goodness.
Joining the Blockcast. Excited to have you, man. Just how are you doing?
Phenomenal. Super amazing, actually. Life has been a blessing right now, in and outside of football. Everything's just flowing right now.
Flowing.
Yeah.
Like the locks on your head, man. Flowing.
Yeah. Trying to grow it out, man. I'd like to put it into a man bun maybe one day, you know.
Well, I'll tell you, man, like I said, we've been chomping at the bit, trying to get this finished, trying to get this wrapped up. So we're excited to have you join the podcast. We were talking before we hit record. This is a great opportunity just to kind of get to know you, get to know players when we're able to do this. And so we'll obviously talk a lot about Utah football, but I'm excited to get to know you, get to know your story, get to know your interests and likes and that sort of stuff. Like,
for sure.
We're going to have fun with this.
I'm excited. Yeah, I love it. It's one of my goals, actually. I haven't written in the back of my phone case is to try and connect the players with the fans at a deeper level.
Love that.
Yeah, so last week we were just sitting in the team room, our meal, pregame meal, and Coach Witt was like, "Oh, here's your note cards. Write down your goals for the season." And that just popped in my head. And so now being here on the podcast, it's kind of just this is the step to getting closer to that.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah,
that's so cool. We're glad to be the tool to allow you to do that because we've interacted a lot over the last couple of years. I think we first actually met in line at Disneyland for Buzz Lightyear. The day after the Rose Bowl, lost to Penn State, which was tough.
Wait, that was tough.
It was tough.
But there's no way to make up for a game than going to Disneyland.
Exactly. And so it was me and Kendra.
Yeah.
It was raining. It was kind of, it was pretty ugly. But we were walking and noticed this big guy in Utah gear. And luckily you recognized who I was and I recognized who you were.
Right.
And you allowed us to cut in line. And from that moment on, I knew
our relationship.
This was it.
That's right.
Best friends, man. This was it.
It was going to be deep until my entire career. Ever since that line cut, I just felt it.
Literally able to cut 100, probably 100 people.
Probably 100 people. We were waiting for a long time.
We appreciated it so much, man.
Yeah.
But no, ever since then, like, it's just been fun to get to know you over the last couple of years. And you've been out to our Across the Green golf tournament. And, and so I know what kind of person you are, know the kind of personality you have. And again, just kind of excited to give you this platform to share that with everybody, with Utah fans.
Right. Yeah, so I'm excited. I especially love, we have the best fans in the nation. I love our fans so much, and I love speaking. I love kind of just being able to not only represent me, but represent my team. I feel like as a whole, we can all connect at a deeper level, and then I want to share that with those that are outside of the locker room. Those people that can't enter the locker room and see how we are on a day-to-day basis. So I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait.
Love it, man. So let's talk about that. Let's dive into some things here. Dive into some subjects, some topics. First game of the season.
Mm-hmm.
It's always there's a little extra juice.
Oh yeah.
For you guys, for the fans, there was a lot of excitement. Even though this wasn't a game like the last 2 years, a season opener like the last 2 years, right? Where you're preparing for a Florida Gators program. There's a lot of hype around it.
Mm-hmm.
This was Southern Utah, which it is what it is, an FBS versus an FCS school.
Right.
Maybe the excitement isn't to the same level, but I still think there was a lot of excitement in just seeing the team. I'm curious for you guys, that first time walking out into Rice-Eccles Stadium, the fireworks going off, seeing the crowd, what is that moment like?
It's unbeatable because we worked consistently and every day and sore bodies, but you can't feel anything but passion at that moment because it's so loud and they're cheering for you and your heart is racing, but your excitement level is just off the charts. There's no feeling like running out of the tunnel at Rice-Eccles. There's no other feeling that I could describe it that feels that passionate and joyful.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's one of a kind. And like I said, you can't think of anything else other than I get to go represent Utah football, my family, and then all 60,000 fans that we have that are currently screaming, "Go Utes!" There's nothing like it.
I'm curious. So, have you played college football 25 yet?
I have. I'm not a big video gamer. I don't play
Okay.
that, but I've played it a couple times.
How accurate is that portrayal? The team coming out and seeing the Utah painted on the roof.
It's pretty
on the
sweet.
field house. Is it pretty accurate?
I think so.
Okay,
I
pretty
enjoyed
spot
it.
on.
You know, it's not the same feeling because I'm in my room.
Right,
You know, I got
right.
my headset on, so it's not as loud as I'd like it to
adrenaline
be.
isn't pumping the
yeah,
same.
no, I'm not sweating. You know, I don't have my 10 pounds of pads that are on me. My shoes aren't tight. You know, my tape but no, it's pretty accurate. They did a good job with that game.
How's the rating? How did you feel about your rating?
It's good. It's good. It could be better.
Could be better.
Apparently, some of the boys who play it more consistently said that after week 1, my ranking has gone up.
Hey,
Yeah, so that's a good thing.
that is a good thing.
Yeah,
Well, and I think too, your performance in week 1 against Southern Utah.
right.
I think it's exciting. It's a good start because one thing that we talked about, at our Across the Green tournament,
Yeah,
when we talked was, your focus on making improvements as a player and where you wanted to get better, and you do such a good job of, over the last couple of years of identifying where you can get better, and I think that's such a special quality to have. And your focus this offseason is what you said was. You wanted to get stronger. You wanted to get bigger while maintaining that athleticism. And I think
right.
game 1, how do you feel? Did you notice a difference? Did you notice, improved strength, your ability to anchor and that sort of stuff? Like, did you notice the improvement that you wanted to see?
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't stop. I don't like to, boast about how I played.
Sure.
But the person that I will consistently talk about my play with is my dad and my mom.
Yeah.
They're my main accountability partners. And so after the game, I was able to talk to them, and I was like, man, I played so free. I felt so free in my play because I felt like everything that I had paid the price to develop in the offseason looked alive in the game.
Yeah.
It wasn't
That's such a
dormant
great
anymore.
way to put that.
Yeah, and it's so tough. I would say you put it that way because it's so dormant in the process of getting stronger because I'm not in pads for 4 months during that off season.
Right.
I don't get to go compete with someone day after day.
Put it to the test.
Right.
Right.
I'm just in the gym. I'm doing my technique, but can I really see change? I can see my body shaping different, muscles.
I noticed that. I noticed that.
Which I enjoy to see, but I'm not a bodybuilder. So I'm a football player and I want to see that. And so now being able to go out and play free, feel your technique come alive because you paid the price to be strong in it. That's what it felt like on Saturday. And it was heartwarming because I felt so happy because I paid that price.
Right.
Yeah.
Love that, dude. And that's the thing is you're putting in the work and you should relish the reward, right? You should enjoy it. You got to enjoy it.
Right. You should expect to win is what Coach Ellis says. When you put in the work, go expect to win.
Absolutely. So week 1, SUU, you had a productive day. You were disruptive. You were getting into the backfield.
Yeah.
Missed maybe a sack, maybe.
Just missed him. He went right under me.
I thought you had him. But how would you assess, the way that you played and where do you feel you can make that improvement from week 1 to week 2?
How I feel the performance went, I feel like a good baseline was set.
Yeah.
I feel like I knew what I could do, and I set a baseline for this is the expectation of what every game could look like productivity-wise. Right, I was blessed to be able to be a part of 2 solo tackles, 2 assisted tackles, a couple pass rushing the QB.
Right.
Just missed a sack. And so with those successes, it's like, this is how disruptive I can play consistently. This is who I should be. And so it's a great baseline. I still think I can be fine-tuned in my technique, be greater at holding the point, getting more knockback into the backfield, just contributing to even more destruction. And I think a big part of that is destruction. Love it.
Oh, baby.
It's a defensive side of the ball. We're all about being destructive.
Absolutely.
And so, man, I think, last year I had to ingrain it out of my mind, take it out of my mind was if I'm not making the tackle, that doesn't mean I'm not making the play.
Ooh, yeah.
Especially in the position that we play on the line. We think, man, tackles, sacks, cause fumbles, that's what a good player is. That's actually not, well that is, that's a I think
big part of it.
something, that you reap as a good player.
Right.
But I think as a D tackle is the disruptiveness is also making the play.
Yeah.
Can I make the offense wonder if they can run that play again? Can I make the offense feel like they can't cut back this way because it's getting blown up on the backside? So I didn't make the play by tackling the running back, but I shaped the play by dictating where it has to go.
Yeah.
And so that development is something that I want to continue to improve on throughout the season.
How much do you feel is that just the general mindset, maybe not mindset, but the culture within that defensive tackle room is so unique because, it talking to players over the years, you kind of get a feel for, this is a room, this is a position that, maybe it's not going to have the tackles and sacks like the defensive end position or the linebacker position, but everything revolves around the defensive tackles in this defense. How much do you guys, talk about that, relish that, being that vital to the success of the defense?
It's talked about in every meeting, in every aspect of pre-practice, post-practice, pre-game, post-game, whatever it is. There's a lot of Scally visiting our room.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Coach Ellis relaying the message of Coach Witt that we bring the weather, meaning how we go is how the team will go. If we start slow, then it'll be tough to get the motor going. But if we can bring the juice consistently, daily, and feed that, the other players behind us can feel that.
Yeah.
I think aside from being big bodies on the field, we bring big presences.
Yes.
And so with that presence, it's so critical that the coaches are constantly telling us, as you said, we kind of are a big foundation for this team.
The tone setters in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
That's so unique as you're talking. I'm picturing in my head, the energy that you and Junior bring to the field, just always trying to get the crowd up and hyped and get it and bringing that energy. And that's so unique. So that's interesting to hear that. Yeah.
I mean, it's touched on daily. And so we have to, we make it a goal of ours that, we bounce off of each other very well.
Right.
All of us have very different personalities, but we bring something different to the table. And so it's different when I hear a Leaky yelling. Because it's like that's something I wouldn't, be yelling. That's not the way I would yell. But then it motivates me to now remember, we're carrying a big load of this team that we want to help bring the juice. We want to bring that passion early on. And so we're able to bounce off of each other so quick like that. And it just, you feel it changing and ultimately rising the level of play of the team. And the individuals. It's less of an individual one-on-one. It's more of we're rising together. Even though I may not have made the play, I'm going to celebrate like I did.
Absolutely.
And the guy who made it is going to feel it, and the guy who's on the opposite side of the field is still going to feel it. And we're all going to rise together.
That's incredible. And I think that speaks so much to the culture on that side of the ball. And it's something that I've talked to some of the new guys on the team, Alakai Gilman, Paul Fitzgerald, even of the freshman Cash Dillon. I talked to him and I asked those guys, like, what is it about this culture that makes it so unique at Utah? Because it's talked about all the time. So for you, what is it about this culture that's so special?
I think, well, first off, I mean, I'm in love with our culture. I couldn't imagine playing anywhere else.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine going anywhere else, Opportunities with the transfer portal, I know fans often wonder about, and they're like, we hope we don't lose this player, Right. What's someone else offering our guy who we love to have in the room?
Yeah.
For me, it's not about what they're offering. It's about what are they about as well. And so I don't see a team competing with what we're about because our culture is so strong. And so what about it, makes it that set in stone, that unity is we study it together. We break down our culture together, and then we try and pick a detail that we can focus on that day. We're relentless, smart, nasty ball hawks, right? RSNB.
All of you guys.
All of us. And so with that is when, one of my favorite things was we had a transfer come in, Cameron Calhoun.
Yeah.
And we were working out this summer. And we meet up as a defense after a workout, and he says, look, if I'm not being a ball hawk, I need someone to tell me to be it.
Wow.
I don't think I was running enough today, but no one said anything to me.
Wow.
And he told that to the defense. And here I am as a leader, going into my third year, same as junior. And we talked about that is, man, we got to be accountable to our culture, not just to each other, but to what we say we're about. And so each day it's, I can look at my safety, Alakai, and say, you weren't being relentless there. I need you a little bit more.
Yeah.
I can look at Karene and say, that's the way to be a ball hawk. Thank you for leading. Let me break the stack. Let me get to the ball too next time.
Right.
And so these aspects of our culture, they're targeted every day. It's not just something that's spoken about. It's something that's lived consistently.
Wow. That's incredible, man.
Yeah.
Love that.
It's amazing.
Love to hear that about Cam and embrace it, because he's only been here a few months, right?
Yeah, he was brand new, and sometimes it's, let this, he's an outcast. Why is he speaking? You're new here.
He's new.
But he felt comfortable enough to say that, and that was huge.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Man, you love to hear that, right? And so I'm curious. You mentioned Alakai, and I mentioned Alakai previously, but I spoke to Alakai yesterday, and he talked about the crowd and just not Stanford anymore.
Not Stanford.
Do you guys joke about that with him?
All the time.
Yeah.
Every time we go out, even on the practice field, I'm like, Alakai, you're not playing in the library anymore. Your fans can yell. Can I hear you? I need, if you're making a call, I need you to be yelling it, man. You can't be whispering it.
Yeah.
So we make fun of that guy. All love for Stanford and who they are.
Right.
But we're biased of the muss in our fans.
Absolutely.
And
as
so
you should be.
Yeah.
It's a big point of this program, right?
Right.
Love that. And he knew it too. Like obviously, coming from Stanford, he doesn't regret going to Stanford, but obviously this is a special place at Rice Stadium.
Yeah. Special place to be, special place to play, and he knew that even before he came here, when he played here before.
Yeah.
I mean, he could feel that. And so now being here, he's like, wow, I mean, it's nice to have them on my side. It's rough when they're on the other team's side, but now they have them behind me, it feels good.
So let's kind of shift gears a little bit. We've talked about SUU. You've got Baylor coming up this weekend.
Uh-huh.
You popped on the tape of the Baylor Bears and you started to prep for this team. What stands out about the Bears, and what do you think of this Baylor program?
I think Baylor is a good program. I think they've consistently had a good program, and last year we were fortunate enough to leave with a win.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a dominant win. It was very a close game until the end of the game.
Right.
It wasn't a game like SU where we could pull off the starters and the gas and get other people reps. It was we're fighting to the last second.
Yeah.
And those are the good games too. I love those games because it's a real grind. But they're good. We looked at the tape. A very athletic and versatile quarterback. He likes to run a lot. And so with that, we're preparing for that. Their receivers are big and tall, and they're very athletic as well.
Yeah,
they stick on blocks very well. They're a good blocking scheme, and then their O-line, they're very big individuals.
They are. I noticed that too. They've got some tall, big dudes.
Some tall, big dudes, man. It looks like when we played Florida's O-line.
Yeah,
just big, very hefty O-linemen. Which, there's things that we like about playing hefty O-linemen, and so that'll be good going into it. But they're a good team, and so we're looking for a battle, and we're going into it that way.
Curious, so, obviously going from SUU and being an FCS program to now a Power 5 program like Baylor, who's, it looks improved from where they were last year.
Yeah.
How much of a jump do you feel like that jump in intensity and in preparation and that sort of stuff to get ready for a program like that?
I don't think so. I don't think our team battles that. I think regardless of who our opponent is, whether it be SU or whether it be, Georgia, regardless of who it is, we're going to prepare to the best of our ability.
Right.
Practice doesn't need to be more intense because it's always been intense.
Yeah.
It's always been elevated because we always plan on playing the best football that we can play. And then another thing is, a part of the culture is we don't focus on who the opponent is. It's always on what can we do? How can we be the best version of ourselves? They can't stop us because we're not focused on them. We're focused on getting ourselves better, playing at our best level. It doesn't matter who you are in front of us. It matters what we're doing inside of us. Yeah,
I think that's so important to have that. It's you. It's up to you, right? You set the tone and you set the standard, and as long as you're at that standard, that's what it's all about. So, love that. You got a couple more minutes for a couple questions from fans and stuff?
Most definitely. I love our fans.
All right. So this
comes from the Blockheads. Shout out to the Blockheads.
Shout out to the Blockheads.
You're gonna get pretty familiar with the Blockcast vernacular here. So Blockheads.
Okay.
That's just
Blockheads.
that's the general term for our subscribers and
Perfect.
supporters.
I love it.
This one from House of Brop.
Okay.
What is the worst butchering of your name that you've ever heard?
Oh,
Did you
my
hear
goodness.
the ESPN broadcast?
No, actually, I choose.
boy.
Well, I mean, I don't watch
That's a
the
good thing.
TV copy usually. I
Yes.
usually watch our film cut up.
Makes sense.
You know, but I heard I opened Twitter the next day and I saw my name added a couple times.
Tanuvasu.
Yeah. I don't think my name's that hard. Is my name that hard to
It's not
pronounce?
that hard.
I feel like it sounded out.
Yeah,
Is
no.
it not?
It's literally very simple.
You know, and then Keanu's pretty basic. Like if you know Keanu Reeves, it's not that hard to pronounce.
It was so bad.
I mean, no disrespect to the announcers, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's that hard. I mean, you get a Sunga Turanga.
Yeah.
That's tough to
That's tough.
You want to butcher that, I understand. Tanuvasa, just read it slow next time. Tackle made by Tanuvasa.
Literally, that's
You
all
know.
it is.
But yeah, I've Tunavasa, Tavanusa,
Oh yeah.
Tanu. I don't even know. It's all over the place.
Yeah. That's so funny. All right. This one from Stu Johnson. Why on earth does College Football 25 have Utah's defensive playbook based on a 4-3 when clearly we run a 4-2-5?
Why? Probably because they know that a lot of other teammates won't study our film and they'll just play the game to try and beat us.
There we go.
You know,
That works.
they'll just line up themselves and see how they go.
Okay. Next one. This one from Riley_KB93. The people need to know, who is the biggest trash talker on defense?
Probably me.
Yeah.
No, I don't think there's. I mean, I loved it. Even against Southern Utah. I mean, there was a couple plays we got him to jump off sides. And then you see me sprint into the backfield because I got to get the ref to throw the flag. And then the running back's like, "Ha, you idiot, you jumped off sides." And I look at him and I'm like, say some mean words, that I don't want to say now. And I'm like, "No,
Mean
you
words.
idiot, Look at watch you step back 5 and then they'll back up 5 and I'm like, "Ha, say some more mean words." So I would probably take that role. We got captains like Rene and June, but they're very aggressive in the game, but they don't speak a lot of trash.
Yeah.
Me, I love it.
Love it.
It's invigorating.
Love it.
Oh yeah.
Love it. You got big calves.
I think so. Maybe not as big as Kyle's, but
Okay. Well, their answer's that. That was the next question.
I
Who's got bigger
figured.
calves? You were Kyle.
I probably have bigger calves, but they're not as good looking, I would say.
That's very. His are tone defined.
Defined.
Unreal. All right, couple more. This one from Cam_Utah. Who do you feel is the best player on the offensive line? That's tough.
Oh, those are my
That's
guys,
tough.
man. You can't divide. I'm only gonna be biased because I go against him every day, and that would be Moko Fisi.
Moko Fisi.
But I don't go against the other guys consistently because I'm a left side player. I'll rotate, here and there, but they're all phenomenal. They're all my dogs. They're all phenomenal players, and they all have their own talents. That's all I'm gonna say.
Love that. Okay, and then last one here. This one from Tag Butler. How do you bounce? So this kind of goes back to the culture of the defensive tackle room and your game. And how do you balance being a playmaker while being assignment sound as a defensive tackle in this game?
That's a great question. But it has an easy answer. I think now that I think about it, is I have 10 other guys on the field that are doing their assignment.
Yeah.
And so it makes me when my gap is taken over because I've taken over it, I don't have to worry about being a playmaker and shedding into another gap because I know Karene's got that, or Lander's got that, or June's got that, and my DNs have the edges. So where's the running back gonna go? Eventually everybody's gonna get theirs because we're all taking care of what we need.
Yeah.
And so eventually the running back's gonna run my gap and I'm gonna make my play. So then I'm a playmaker there. But when we all take care of our responsibility, it makes the game easy when you got 10 guys that are working just as hard to make the play.
Love that, man.
Yeah.
Well, dude, appreciate you for joining us this season. I'm excited for this.
Me too.
We're gonna make this a thing. We're gonna make it, just doing our part. Our
Yeah.
1 second, our 1/11th.
Yeah.
This is our 1/11th.
Heck yeah.
Being on the podcast.
I love it.
And talking and chopping it up, man. So appreciate it. Again, we're excited for you this season.
Appreciate
and
it.
we're excited to have you on the podcast. So we'll wrap this one up. appreciate all the blockheads, and thanks, man.
Of course. Shout out to the blockheads.